Hello, my name's Sophie Llewellyn-Smith. I'm a staff interpreter at the European Commission, and I'm going to give you a speech now in simultaneous, which is about self-tracking. In particular, it's about a device called the Jawbone Up. The device itself is called an Up, and the company that manufactures it is called Jawbone. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you today about a new trend which is called self-tracking, or sometimes self-monitoring. And the idea is that you use technology to get an insight into how your body works, how much you're exercising, how much you're eating, how well you're sleeping, how healthy you are. There's a new product on the market which allows you to do this, and it's called the Jawbone Up. It costs about €130. It's a wristband actually, so you wear it around your wrist. It's made of rubber, it's very light. It comes in a range of trendy colours, light green and purple and orange. And what it does is sense your movements, and it produces a sort of automatic journal for you. Once you've connected it up to the app on your mobile phone, it claims to tell you how well you slept, how many steps you took in one day, in other words, how active you are, what you ate, what the nutritional breakdown was of what you ate. So what I want to do in my speech is tell you about some of the advantages of this device, how it can help you, and then look perhaps at some disadvantages of the Jawbone app. What are the pros of using a device like this that you wear 24 hours a day around your wrist? Well, the theory is that it can help you to identify healthy or unhealthy patterns in your behavior. For example, by using the Jawbone Up, which will tell you how many hours of deep sleep you had versus how many hours of light sleep you had, you may realize that if you go for a jog during the day, you have more hours of deep sleep, and so you feel more rested the next day. And the good thing about the Jawbone Up is that it can give you a holistic picture of what's going on inside you, compared, for example, to a device like a heart rate monitor. The only thing that a heart rate monitor can do is tell you how fast your heart is beating. But the Jawbone Up can connect with all sorts of other applications on your mobile phone. For example, the sort of app where you record what distance you ran on a particular day and how fast you ran it. And when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, you get a holistic picture of your habits and of what's going on inside your body. Another advantage of the Jawbone Up is that it goes even beyond that, and it will actually give you advice. So, for example, if you've not been very active, messages will start to pop up which tell you that inactivity is linked to arthritis and obesity, and the device will give you some advice about what you can do. It's a device that can help prompt better behavior, because you can actually program it to sound an idle alert. So if you've been sitting still for 15 minutes, as I have been, for example, you can program your Jawbone Up to start vibrating, and it reminds you that you need to get up and do something, at the least go and get yourself a cup of tea. And finally, the Jawbone Up can learn from you, learn from your patterns, and adapt to your body's rhythms. So that, for example, you can program the alarm that wakes you up in the morning to sound around a certain time, and what the Jawbone Up does is to sense when you're in a light phase of sleep, and that's when the alarm goes off, and that way you wake up feeling rested, instead of your alarm clock dragging you out of deep sleep and then you just feel groggy for the first hour. So it all sounds brilliant. It sounds modern, trendy, joined up. It could help you to improve your health and your lifestyle. But when you take a closer look at how the device works, inevitably you begin to see some of the disadvantages, which I'm going to tell you about now. The first and greatest disadvantage is to do with the inaccuracy of the device itself, because all the data that it generates, everything it tells you about your lifestyle and your habits, is based on the motion sensor that is contained in the wristband, which measures the movements of your arm. So for example, if you go for a long bike ride, your jawbone up doesn't realize that you've been exercising because you're moving your legs. And this means that you have to input the data yourself into your app on your mobile phone instead. Similarly, when you fall asleep, you have to press a button on the device to tell it that you're going to sleep. And when you wake up, you have to press a button to say that you're awake. And the device then measures whether you're in light sleep or deep sleep based on the movements of one of your arms. So you can imagine what sorts of inaccuracies that can lead to. And as for food, it's obvious that the jawbone up can't tell what you've been eating. So again, you have to input all the data manually on your phone so that the numbers get crunched by an app, and then you get all sorts of whiz-bang graphic displays. But basically, you've done all the work yourself. So what's the point? The next problem is one of privacy. It's all well and good being seamlessly connected with all your devices talking to each other. But some of these devices, not just the jawbone up, send data out into the ether. For example, you can buy wireless scales that will weigh you, and the terms and conditions actually say that you renounce all right to privacy because your data are being sent out there into the ether where they connect with the application, the brain that analyzes your data. And some people are concerned that these data could actually be used by a commercial company. Perhaps they could even be sold to health insurance schemes. Another problem is how time-consuming it can be to use a device like this. You think nothing of it, it's on your wrist all day, but you have to sync it twice a day with your mobile phone. You have to recharge it. You may have to input a lot of data, and I've already talked about that. So it's time-consuming. Next problem is that the jawbone up delivers lots of tips, but some of them may be unwanted, and you can't switch them off. Let's say that you have told it that your BMI is in the normal range, your body mass index. In other words, you're not overweight. The jawbone up will still give you advice on weight loss. And this could be dangerous, particularly if you're an obsessive type. In fact, that brings me to my final disadvantage, which is that I think this kind of device can create obsessive behavior. It becomes an end in itself. Do people really change their habits based on the data that's generated, or do they just observe the habits? Do they just go, oh, the machine is telling me I slept well last night? So what? I think we should live life instead of measuring it. And I think the problem with this kind of device is that it cloaks common sense in an illusion of science. Do we really need to be told whether we have slept well or whether we've eaten too much? Or can we not tell for ourselves? You wake up and you feel groggy. You get up from table and you feel bloated. Surely you can listen to your own body without needing technology to tell you. I think this kind of device actually disconnects us from our own senses, and we end up observing our body from the outside as if it were an object, instead of listening to it and living it from the inside, because we are subjects. So by way of conclusion, I would say, although I think that this sort of device could conceivably be useful for somebody who doesn't know a lot about health and nutrition, it could help them to identify habits, it could raise their awareness. Overall, I think that the jawbone up is a gimmick. It's all smoke and mirrors. It promises you deep insights into your body's functioning, but all of that is based on how much you shake your arm. So, to me, the lack of accuracy and the lack of tailoring of this device to individual circumstances means that the advice it provides you with is not actually that useful. I think it's more like the little messages that you get in fortune cookies, to be honest. It's a device that creates the illusion of knowledge and control, but you can't control your body from the outside by analyzing it with technology. You need to learn to listen to it and to work with it from the inside. Thank you.